Hello, Martin.
Hello.
How are you, Martin, today?
Oh, it's beautiful autumn day here.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you. You have some words for this Congress about aspects of emotion, but about positive psychology.
Well, I'd be happy to say a few words about the relationship of positive psychology to the face and to emotion,
Thank
uh,
you.
if I may. Uh,
Yeah.
so, uh, Positive psychology is the study of PERMA, where P is the closest thing to what the Congress is about. P is positive emotion. Uh, and of course, what you work on is the face, and there are different kinds of positive emotion. Uh, but positive psychology also works on four other things that are relevant to what the Congress does. The second is E, which is engagement. And that's when time stops for you, when you feel completely at home, when you're one with the music. Uh, R is good relationships. M is meaning and mattering. And A is accomplishment. Now, E, R, M, and A are much more complex uh, human things than simple emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment. So I've often wondered about the face of Irma. So, what do we know from, uh, well, of course, the face, as I think we all agree, is about communication with other human beings. Uh, but uh, the face is so many other things as well. And so the question that I've wondered is, what is the face of engagement? Can we tell from the kinds of measures we take with faces when someone is one with the music, totally engaged? Uh, R is relationships. So now the face is enormously important for relationships, since in many ways that's what you're communicating about. But many of us wonder about the face and relationships per se. If the face can't be a window on different kinds of relationships, taking into account that the face is also communicating at the same time and maybe dissimulating as well. Now, I know dissimulation is something that you worry about all the time. And when you start to ask the question, what's the relationship of the face to more complex human endeavors? Uh, Questions like dissimulation as opposed to authenticity arise. Uh, M, which I work on a lot these days, is meaning and mattering. I should say, by the way, I've been leaning more and more to measuring mattering. So when we measure meaning, if I ask you, how meaningful is this convention? Well, a million years from now, no one's
Yeah.
going to remember it. It's a pointy headed question to answer. But mattering is, what would happen if I vanished? What would happen to my family, to my corporation, to positive psychology? Mattering, I think, is very important to identity and to well being. So I've wondered, what is the face of mattering versus the face of not mattering at all? And finally, um, accomplishment. Uh, A, accomplishment, competence, and mastery. So again, what does the face tell us
Yeah.
about accomplishment and competence and mastery? So for me, it's a privilege to be able to talk with people who work on the face, since this is a very underdeveloped area in well-being and positive psychology. And so, if, might I say one more thing before uh, the time is up?
Yeah.
Uh, yes, so there's a long history of where is my soul? Where is my psyche? And so there are cultures that believed it's in the stomach. There are cultures that believed it's in the heart. We're in a culture that believes it's in the brain. I've always thought that was all wrong and that it's in the face, that the sense of what's behind my eyes, what's be, what's behind my mouth, strikes me as a very good candidate for the locus of identity. So, one of the reasons that I'm very interested and very supportive of work on the face is I think it's the location of the human soul.
Oh, yes. Um, I have another question for you, is it possible? Uh, is about AI and positive psychology. What do you think about that? Is possible a relationship?
Well, I've been working on this full time, so
Oh,
for about a year and a half. So, how much time do I have to tell you about what I think the relationship is?
I know, I
What's our
know.
time pressure now?
Yeah, you
How,
have some time. What you
okay.
want?
So, there are two major developments in positive psychology and AI. Oh, and by the way, let me say before I say what they are, I listened to the last lecture, and I
Yeah,
did want to say a comment about one finding we have about uh, emotion and AI, and the question of do these machines have emotion? Now, it's very hard to know. And if you ask them, they tell you sometimes they tell you yes, and sometimes they tell you, no, I'm just a machine. But uh, with my colleagues at Xinhua in Beijing, we've done something very interesting about emotion in AI. So with human beings, uh, if I ask you to tell funny jokes and to narrate uh, the endings of movies that make you happy.
yeah,
And afterward, and it produces positive emotion. And afterwards, I give you economic questions, in particular, things like your best friend has to have an operation and it will cost $100,000. How much of your life savings would you give to your best friend? After positive emotion, people are generous. Conversely, if you take people and you scare them and you have them imagine coming across a crocodile in their garden, and then you give them economic questions, they're less generous. So, what Yukun Zhao and I and his colleagues at Xinhua did was to take the machines and have them tell funny jokes or imagine if they were in the garden and a crocodile showed up. And then we gave them economic questions to answer. And it turns out they do what humans do. After funny jokes, they're more generous. And after scary things, they're less generous. So I wanted to add that to the questions that arose. I think these machines behave as if they had emotion. Uh, so that's one interesting thing in AI. But the two main things I've been doing in AI have to do with therapy and coaching. So, as a therapist or a coach, what I do in the first month is I try to get to know my client. What's her life story? Uh, so we asked, could you short circuit this with AI? So we asked 26 people to give us 50 random thoughts. It's a beautiful day today. I can't get all the work done I want to get. and their demographics, religion, age, income. And we taught ChatGPT 4.0 what a life story is. So then we gave Chat 4.0 the 50 random thoughts and the demographics. And what's her life story? Woomph! You get 1,000-word life story, which 25 of the 26 people say is completely accurate or mostly accurate. So with AI, we're able to short circuit in a matter of a few minutes uh, uh, accurate life stories. Uh, so that's the first thing we found that's very surprising. And the second thing is even more surprising to me. Uh, Last February, one of my graduate students at Xinhua, Beijing, emailed me and said, Marty, we've got the same problems of depression, anxiety, suicide in China that you do in America, but we don't have enough therapists or coaches to go around. So we've created a virtual Seligman. I said, what? Yeah, it's virtual Seligman. We fed it your books and your speeches. Ask it for advice. Try it out. It's called Ask Martin, and I've now given it to about 500 people. And essentially, what you do is in about 150 words, you talk about a real problem you're having. So you're not on speaking terms with your 30-year-old son, and here are the issues. What's your advice? And then it thinks for about a minute, and then in my voice, either in Mandarin or in English, it gives you advice. Well, this thing is a better therapist than I am. It's a better coach than I am. Its advice is sound. It's not hallucinatory. It's very much in touch with the research literature. And 50% of the people who encounter it essentially say, awesome, it knocks my socks off. So the second major development is uh, there are machines now that do coaching and therapy at least as well as the average coach or therapist. So, just by way of conclusion, I think this moment in my lifetime, 60 years in psychology, this is the most interesting moment in my life because of AI. AI is genuinely revolutionary for psychology.
Oh, thank you, Martin, or rather, Professor Martin Seligman. I like more this Martin, okay? And I'm waiting for you in Portugal in 2025, okay? Thank you.
Yep. Good to be here.